O Lord, make us instruments of your peace. Take our minds and think through them. Take our mouths and speak through them. Take our hands and work through them. And take our hearts and set them on fire for Christ's sake. Amen. So what are you vigilant about? Our scriptures today invite us to ask this surprisingly revealing question. What are we really watching for in life? What keeps us alert? What pulls our attention? And what does that say about who we are and what we truly value? Because let's be honest, we're all vigilant about something. For some of us, it's work. For others, it's family, fitness, fantasy football, finances. Can you tell I love alliteration? Or perhaps it's that one friend who always posts great memes on social media. And yes, some folks are even vigilant about their spiritual practices. Yes, imagine that. But vigilance in itself is neither good nor bad. It's just a habit of attention. And what makes it virtuous or harmful is why and where we direct it. One can be just as vigilant about pursuing justice as in hiding wrongdoing. We've certainly seen a lot of that lately. And then think of how carefully some public figures construct their personas and their language, not to clarify truth, but to camouflage ideology or self-interest. Entire industries exist to capture and control our attention, to stir us up or wear us down, all in the name of profit and power. Some people vigilantly guard their egos, keeping score, nursing grudges, plotting revenge like it's an Olympic sport. And others work tirelessly to control systems, crafting laws or selectively enforcing them to entrench their influence or rig institutions in their favor. Vigilance, like many things, can be rooted in love or driven by fear. Both Isaiah and Jesus speak today about vigilance, not only ours, but God's. And it's clear from the tone that this isn't just an invitation, it's a wake-up call. Isaiah comes in hot. What to me is the multitude of your sacrifices. I've had enough. I cannot endure solemn assemblies with iniquity. Your hands are full of blood. That is not gentle poetic angst. That is a divine exasperation. In the 8th century BC Israel, everything was falling apart. Corruption, inequality, civil strife, brutal wars. Sound familiar? Isaiah blasted the religious and the political elite for turning faith into a performance. Their rituals were no longer about orienting them towards justice, grace, or compassion. No, religion had become a vending machine. Insert sacrifice, expect a blessing. And God's response was, keep your burnt offerings. Show me mercy. And then we come to Jesus in Luke, who offers us a much gentler take, a vision of vigilance rooted not in fear and self-interest, but in faith. He says, do not be afraid, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. These are the words he said to his discomforted disciples. This is the heartbeat of Christian vigilance. It's not paranoid, it's hopeful, it's not fearful, it's expectant. It doesn't say brace yourself, it says get ready for joy. You've probably heard of hypervigilance, right? That trauma-based state where everything feels like a threat. Some of you have likely experienced it. Many people live with PTSD in that exhausting space. But societies can act this way too. Panicking over immigrants, demonizing differences, policing who belongs. And we've seen this with unmarked vans picking up law-abiding civilians like it's a dystopian dress rehearsal. Or internment camps designed for profit under the banner of security. Hypervigilance rationalizes overreaction. It lives in fear and calls itself wisdom. And let's be honest, the church hasn't always modeled the healthy version. Many have experienced rejection and shame and abuse in the name of doctrine or orthodoxy. Consider so-called conversion therapy, still promoted in some circles, which inflicts spiritual and emotional trauma under a banner of righteousness. So it's no wonder so many feel exiled from the church before they even step through its doors. But spiritual vigilance, the kind that Jesus talks about, is expansive. It opens up rather than shuts us down. It aligns us not with fear of exclusion or punishment, but with God's dream for a healed world. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. In other words, show me what you protect, and I'll show you who you are. If your treasure is safety, control, certainty, your heart will be tense and defended. But if you treasure love, generosity, truth, your heart will be open and ready to receive. Jesus shares this beautiful image. Servants keeping watch, lamps burning, robes tied, doors ready to swing open at a knock. And the master could arrive at any time. And they live as if he's on his way now. This isn't just about punctuality, it's about posture. Luke's early Christian community had been waiting for Jesus' return. Waiting. And waiting. And waiting. It wasn't happening. They were discouraged. And Luke writes to remind them, the point isn't to count down, but to live ready, to embody the kingdom now. And we live in that same tension 2 millennia later, right? Always waiting for things to get better, for the real second coming, for the day when we'll finally be peaceful or kind or generous enough. But Jesus shows up not in a dramatic sky-opening spectacle, but in the daily act of showing up for each other. He comes when we live as if he already has. And this is what the church has always meant by that expression of living in the communion of saints, those who throughout time bear witness to the truth that Jesus' coming is not just past or future, but now. Every act of love, every moment of justice, every humble offering becomes a place where Christ is revealed. And that's where we experience blessing. But it's not completely that simple. Sadly, in the midst of blessings, we must watch out for thieves. So Jesus shares another parable. If the owner had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have let his house get broken into. In other words, we can't be so blinded by our positive expectations that we mistake an antichrist for our beloved master. Jesus is reminding us that threats to our peace don't always come with ski masks and Glocks. Some thieves sneak in attractively disguised, telling us what we want to hear, rationalized by the mind and perverted by the second soul, with deceit, cynicism, greed, self-righteousness. The desire to build bigger homes and store away security like we're prepping for a spiritual apocalypse. Oblivious to our neighbor's needs. Remember last week's parable? The rich man who hoarded everything only to die before he could enjoy any of it? His life was full of stuff, but empty of connection. Let's not do that. We don't know how much time we have. So what do we want to do with it? How about living in holy readiness? Not a bad idea. Yeah, let's be vigilant, but not with anxious hearts. Let's be prophetic, but not without grace and compassion. Let's guard what truly matters. Our relationships, our integrity, our community, our hope. Let's stay close to the one who formed us in baptism, who meets us in word and sacrament, who calls us to life abundant, not the kind you stash in a barn, but the kind you share. This is a kind of vigilance that sees the world not as a competition, but as a promise. Not as a trap, but as a springboard to richer life. And every act of love, every risk for justice, every quiet kindness, that's where Christ returns. So let's live expectantly. Keep our lamps lit. Stay ready, not for disaster, but for delight. Because the kingdom isn't just coming. It's already in the room. It's knocking on our doors from the inside. Thanks be to God. Amen.